We are back yet again with another story coming out of goddamn Florida. I swear, Florida just seems the one I always stay in the news, or y'all just like sending me stories coming out of Florida. Where today we will be talking about an individual by the name of Henry Joseph IV, where he was busted after cops found plans for him to commit a school shooting and a mass church stabbing. So he was planning on knocking out two sectors with two different sets of weapons. It's interesting. He said he wants to use guns to take out the people in the school, but he was going to go on a mass church stabbing as well. And he's 19, by the way. And I'm gonna tell you right now, this is the oldest 19 that I've seen. Well, I take that back. It probably isn't the oldest one I've seen, but one of the oldest. And I'm sure there's going to be more ones that I'll talk about in the future that look around the same as him or older. And it goes on to say the teen who graduated from the high school he was targeting allegedly wanted to kill 15 people. So this was definitely an orchestrated attack. It wasn't random. Police in a Florida town arrested a 19-year-old on Thursday, a few weeks after discovering that he was allegedly had plans to carry out a mass school shooting and stabbings in a church when they found an apparent manifesto. Henry Joseph Horton IV of Okeechobee County was pulled over by police on September 18th because his truck had a broken headlight, according to WPTV. The police later discovered written pages inside his truck that outlined his alleged plans to buy weapons and kill everyone at OHS or Okeechobee High School with my guns. Horton IV, who graduated from Okeechobee High in May 2022, allegedly wanted to kill 15 people at the school, including an administrator, according to a probable cause affidavit. He was planning to attack his high school on his 22nd birthday on January 2nd, 2026. So they caught him 3 years in advance. But why your 22nd birthday though? Like, he had this thing planned years in advance. Usually when people try to commit these type of acts, they're planning months in advance for something they're getting ready to commit months later, months from the time that they've already done it. This guy was planning years in advance. I can honestly say I never heard that one before. The Okeechobee County Sheriff's Department has worked closely with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office to assure there was no immediate threat to any Okeechobee County students, and the individuals responsible for the threat that will be properly prosecuted and provided necessary mental health assistance, the Okeechobee County School District said Saturday on Facebook. The school's district threat management team will continue working with Sheriff's Office and the State Attorney's Office on this case. The 19-year-old told investigators that he wanted to attack the school for attention or fame. So it wasn't necessarily that he was going after a particular person's or whatever the case may be. He said he wanted to do it for attention or fame. Honestly, I cannot even pinpoint a time when I've done one of these stories where any of them have actually come out of their mouth and said that was their reasoning for doing it. A lot of them do it for other reasons, but he said he's doing this simply for attention and fame. And that's scary because nowadays everybody's clout chasing for the most. I won't say everybody's clout chasing, but a lot of people, especially in a particular generation, i.e. his generation, Gen Z, are doing a lot of stuff for attention-seeking purposes. But there's so many other ways you can go out about getting attention if that's what you want. Going around planning to slaughter people is definitely not one you want to be known for. But in this society, you'll be surprised by what people actually hold up in high regard. Horton IV also had a plan to go on a stabbing spree at El Rey Jesus, or is it El Rey Jesus Church? It might be Jesus or Jesus, I'm not entirely sure. In Miami to kill 10 people. Authorities said that he allegedly planned to buy a M1911 handgun and an AK-47 assault rifle for those attacks. The teen was arrested after he was first taken to a hospital for mental health evaluation. He was charged with intimidation by written threat to kill or cause bodily harm, and is currently held at Palm Beach County Jail on a $1 million bond. He is scheduled to appear in court on November 6th. Meanwhile, Horton IV's parents told WPTV Friday afternoon that their son had a long struggle with, here we go, with mental health issues, but he is not dangerous. Now, let me just back this up right quick. I thought it was interesting. It said his parents as in plural, more than one. So this man was raised with his mother and his father. Larry Elder has gone on a long tirade campaign for years talking about fatherlessness in the black community and how that's a reason why the black community is the way that it is. And I've said, well, Larry Elder, why don't you talk about these white attempted mass shooters or these mass killers or these murderers who grow up with two parents and they do what they did? And let's compare them to the amount of black people that have done the same thing or worse. There's no comparison. So we have another one that we can add on to the list, that we can tack to the list. And then, of course, you know, his parents have to say, oh, he's been struggling with mental health, but we don't have a diagnosis. But he does have a mental health issue. But then they come back and say that he's not dangerous. Unless things have changed, threatening to go shoot up a school, 15 people to be exact, because he counted 15, including an administrator, and them threatening to go stab 10 people at a church, that definitely makes you dangerous. And that's something or someone that you don't want to be around. But you know, PC's definition of dangerous and our definition of dangerous are very different. It goes on to say he needs to be treated for mental illness and not be treated as a criminal. Yes, the hell he does need to be treated as a criminal. The teen's mother, Marcy Horton, said he needs a firm diagnosis to find out what the problem is and go from there and get him help that he so desperately is asking for. Well, it doesn't sound to me like he's asking for help. He's seeking attention. He basically told you what he wanted to do this for. I am doing this because I'm seeking attention. He didn't say this, I'm doing this because the voices in my head told me to do it. Which sounds like to me, this guy does not have a mental health issue. He knows well enough of what he planned to do and why. He said it. I am doing this to seek attention and or fame. End quote. And then his mother says he needs a firm diagnosis. So that means you're just throwing out there that he has a mental health issue when he really doesn't have one. But this is them being on code to protect their scum of a son. Again, Larry Elder, I ask again. You talk about fatherless homes in the black community all the time. What are you talking about with these PC children who have two parents in a home and they still go out and commit the acts that they do or plan to commit the acts that they want to do, like this dude on the screen? The father, Henry Horton III, who lives in Virginia, said that his son had written similar threats in the past. Now look at that. Now we can bring it back up with the whole fatherlessness thing too, because according to this, it doesn't sound like they lived in the home with each other, because they said this happened in Florida. His mother is in Florida and the father is in Virginia, which means they are, I don't know if they're separated or if he's, whatever the case may be, but she still has the same last name as him. So Larry, I now ask you again, what do you have to say about this? And he said he has written similar threats in the past, but you didn't do anything. Man, do not ever let them question black people's parenting skills. Like I said, every group has a subset or a sector of bad parents and bad parenting skills. But if your parenting skills are not the best, if y'all ain't out here living like the goddamn Brady Bunch, then y'all need not speak ill of anyone else's parenting. This father literally said his son had written similar threats in the past and you didn't do anything? Y'all just thought he was joking. I guess that's another thing. White people, when they claim that it was just a joke, it's usually never a joke. Their joke is literally lined up with the Joker on Batman, because he told a lot of jokes too. But we all know how all of those jokes ended. usually with somebody or somebody's being ended. He's quoted as saying he just said he has these thoughts and he doesn't know how to control them. Horton III told the local news channel they just keep coming into his head. Then again, why didn't y'all just go and handle it then? Now look at the situation. And then for all we know, he might get a slap on the wrist and he'll be back out in society again. People are going to forget about this guy and he might actually commit an actual crime. He might say, F waiting to January 2nd, 2026. We gonna tackle this thing at least by January 2nd, 2024. The father added that the teen was admitted to a mental institution and then he was sent to live with his mother in Okeechobee County to continue treatment there. Now it's funny because the mother, when she was talking about what she was saying, she didn't mention anything in her statement about her son receiving treatments or him continuing to get the help there or whatever the case may be. And they still didn't say what the actual diagnosis of what his so-called mental illness is, which begs the question, has she been seeking out therapists or any type of rehab down there for him to get help, or have the treatments just stopped when he wasn't with his dad? It sounds to me like he wasn't getting the quote-unquote help he was supposed to be getting down there with his mother. She might have been overlooking this. Again, she says that she swears up and down he has a mental health issue, but there's no but he's not dangerous and they don't have a diagnosis. Okay, this is the part where my intelligence is being insulted. And by the way, that was the end of the article. You have this individual who wrote out that he planned on slaughtering mass amount of people at the school he went to. He was going to slaughter mass amount of people at a church on his 22nd birthday, which is in less than 3 years. You have one incompetent parent who claims he has a mental health issue. Well, both of them do. You have one that says he has them, but he's not dangerous. They don't have a diagnosis. You have another one that has said that he has written multiple threats like that before in the past, but they still don't give him the type of help that he should be getting. And this is what it leads to. I honestly believe that when it comes to a lot of the PC males in particular, not saying that, not like sidelining the women, but especially that PC male, whenever they quote unquote have these so-called mental health things that they claim that they have, it stems from what's going on in that household. I don't know what it could be. I don't live there, thank God. So I can only guesstimate. I can only assume at this point. Because you know what's so interesting? Jeffrey Dahmer grew up with both of his parents. Well, his mother ended up separated from his dad and he stayed with his dad. And they were doing all kinds of stuff, together, with roadkill and whatnot. But they never questioned as to what led him to do what he did. Let's go back to how you were raising him. They love to talk about it starts in the home, but they love to only pinpoint that out when it comes to black people. Let's talk about what starts in the home when it comes to PC. And how that could possibly lead to what they do. If you want to do something recent, look at Ethan Crumbley. Ethan Crumbley, who was younger than he is, actually went out and committed a mass shooting at his school. And when they did a little bit of digging, it showed that his parents, while not completely involved, they might as well have been, and neither one of them was shit. Because he grew up in a household that he might as well been raised by children around his age. Then it came out that the dad had a whole child with another woman, all the way ironically in the same state that we're talking about with this case, Florida. Then you got Ethan Couch. He grew up with two parents, stole his parents' vehicle, got drunk, and hit and killed 4 people. And they didn't give him no jail time because he has something called quote unquote affluenza, which they define as he's not old enough, or he's too rich to understand what he did wrong. Mind you, he was like 13 or 14 at the time. Then what ended up happening? He broke his probation. And then what happened after that? He and his ratchet mama fled across state lines and went to Mexico. They got him back though. And I think he actually had to end up doing jail time, but not for what he did, leading him to get to the affluenza stuff, but because of him fleeing the establishment and breaking his probation, which was for him to stay away from alcohol. Now, I think his mother did jail time too for basically what you could say harboring a fugitive and crossing state lines. Peyton Gendron, Dylan Roof, Ryan Palmer, are you seeing a pattern here? And I bet you all of them use the same line, that they had a mental illness. It's literally like the PC cheat code. I'm just glad some people are starting to understand and grasp that it doesn't always work that way. Nor should it. But yeah, it's crazy how this story, I was supposed to really be going in on what he did wrong and how messed up that was for him to try to attempt to do. I'm glad that it didn't go through. But I spent more going on a rant about his piss poor parents. Yes, I called them piss poor. Than I did the actual subject matter itself. Too bad I don't have pictures of his parents, because they would have been on the Summer Jam screen. But like I said, that's what makes me so mad about the stuff that Larry Elder says about fatherlessness in the black community. He'll never talk about this. But that's fine. We'll do it for him and cover it in the way that it should be covered.